accidental bloopers that became iconic moments. Creating a film is the result of months of planning and preparation. The finished picture that audiences watch in theaters or at home has been in the works for months, if not years. The aim is that every aspect is faultless and that the effort expended results in a gratifying experience for everyone. Despite all the preparation, errors do occur. Sometimes these adjustments are detrimental, but there are numerous instances where faults and bloopers left in films really improve the film. There have been significant cases when items intended to remain behind the scenes ended up staying in the film because they were just too wonderful to edit. Moments that were never intended to see the light of day were actually left in after the final edit in some of your favorite films, including Rain Man, Blade Runner, The Godfather, The Dark Knight, and The Wolf of Wall Street. Sometimes it's the actors who make a massive mistake. Other times it's the artists who take creative license with the screenplay, and on rare instances, actors fart at the worst conceivable circumstances. These bloopers were left in movies because they enhanced the story. Silence of the Lambs. Hissing sound. Hannibal Lecter, played by Anthony Hopkins, appears for barely 25 minutes in the 2-hour film, yet his portrayal quickly became legendary, catapulting the character to worldwide prominence and garnering Hopkins an Oscar award for Best Actor. Lecter dominates every scene he's in, particularly the one where he says, "I ate his liver with some fava beans and a good Chianti." Lecter pauses before making a hideous sucking sound. The additional sound effect was not in the script and hadn't been practiced. It was made up by Hopkins. The camera pans to FBI agent Clarice Starling, Jodie Foster, who's dumbfounded and startled. Foster was at a loss for words and simply fit too nicely in the moment to be eliminated. Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. I know. It's impossible to put into words the influence Star Wars has had on film and the wider realm of pop culture. The movies have become global in so many ways, with traditional heroes and villains, political intrigue, and exotic creatures from all parts of the planet. Fans of all hues have their favorite movies and moments, but The Empire Strikes Back is largely recognized as the finest of the lot. Empire expertly expanded the Star Wars canon, provided us with some of the most iconic sequences and phrases from the whole saga. One famous scene, though, was made up on the spot by Harrison Ford. Leia, Carrie Fisher, expresses her love for Han Solo, Ford, just before he's trapped in carbonite. Han was meant to simply reply, "I love you too," but Ford didn't think it fit his character and asked director George Lucas about it. Lucas instructed Ford to say anything he pleased. Then, with the cameras rolling, Fisher says her line, to which Ford reacts with the ideal Solo response, "I know." The Other Guys. Lion versus Tuna. The Other Guys has become a comedy classic, and Will Ferrell's performance is still one of the greatest. To get a sense of how sharp Ferrell was throughout the production, go no farther than the lion versus tuna sequence, which appears early in the film. If Alan Gamble, Ferrell, were a tuna, and Detective Terry Hoyts, Mark Wahlberg, were a lion, Hoyts would swim out to the middle of the ocean and freaking devour you. Gamble wasn't intended to react, but Ferrell used the opportunity to explain how stupid it would be for a lion to go out in the ocean, since the tuna would turn on the lions and learn to hunt them. Unprepared for Ferrell's lengthy explanation, Wahlberg takes his coffee cup and dumps it all on him. The Burbs. Gurney Throw. The Burbs, an exploration of contemporary suburban dysfunction, has become a classic comedy thriller with an incredible A-list ensemble. After the climactic home fire, Ray Peterson, Tom Hanks, goes on a rant about how they were incorrect about their neighbors, the Klopeks, and that it was Peterson and the other neighbors who were lunatics. "Send me to the hospital," Peterson says, before collapsing on a nearby ambulance gurney. He flails, rises up, and lifts up the whole gurney, flinging it into the back of the ambulance when nothing occurs. He then humorously jumps on top of it. The gurney throw wasn't in the screenplay. Hanks came up with it on the fly while shooting. Fast and Furious 6. Forehead Comeback. Since 2001, the Fast and the Furious series has dominated the box office. With each subsequent sequel, the crime dramas have grown in size, including the inclusion of new actors. The most visible shift occurred in Fast 5 when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was cast as U.S. diplomatic Secret Service agent Luke Hobbs. Johnson's been in every sequel since, but his finest statement may have come in an unscripted scene from Fast and Furious 6. "Hey Mia, you better cover that baby oil," Roman, Tyrese Gibson, says as Hobbs arrives at a barbecue. Hobbs isn't meant to answer in the screenplay, but Johnson improvised and quipped, "You better cover that big-ass forehead." Chris "Ludacris" Bridges throws up his drink in response to the unscripted phrase. The take was so amazing that it was a no-brainer to include it in the final edit. The Wolf of Wall Street – Chest Beating. The Wolf of Wall Street contains a number of memorable performances and scenes, Margot Robbie, and one of the most popular non-Margot Robbie scenes is the lunch between Jordan Belfort, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Mark Hanna, Matthew McConaughey, during which Hanna teaches the green Wall Street broker the rules of the game. Hanna starts the meal by hammering his chest and singing some type of traditional song. The chest hammering wasn't in the original screenplay, but it was something McConaughey did to relax in between takes. McConaughey chose to utilize pantomime in the sequence, and DiCaprio can be seen gazing about at the team off camera, wondering whether they were filming. They were, and the moment was preserved. American Beauty – Dinner Plate. American Beauty has become a divisive picture 20 years after its first release. Some argue that the film's Best Picture Oscar was unjustified, while others argue that the entire product is still good. Many people feel that the film's two primary performers, Annette Bening and Kevin Spacey, provide Oscar-worthy performances. Spacey won the Oscar, but Bening was defeated by Hilary Swank. And we just need to look at this improvised sequence to see why Spacey deserved the prize. Lester Burnham, Spacey, snaps and stalks about the table to retrieve the platter of asparagus in the last awkward family dinner scene, which he had asked for several times, being ignored each time. As Carol Burnham, Bening, starts drunkenly mocking him again, Lester rises up and whips the dish of asparagus against the wall. Lester intended to crash the dish on the floor, which the performers would have expected. Spacey, on the other hand, improvised and aggressively flung it against the wall behind the actress, Thora Birch. The cast's surprise emotions are real, since neither actress anticipated the shift. Rain Man – Passing Gas. Dustin Hoffman's Oscar-winning performance in Rain Man has become serious moments, but one of the most cherished and funniest was never intended to happen. While Charlie, Tom Cruise, and Raymond, Hoffman, are making a phone call in a phone booth, Ray exclaims, Oh, fart!" Charlie stares at Ray, puzzled, and asks, "Did you fart, Ray?" Charlie tries but fails to unlock the phone booth and is trapped inside with the stench. Hoffman intended it as a joke and had no idea it'd be used in the picture, but neither he nor Cruise broke character, and it was kept in since it worked so well. Full Metal Jacket – R. Lee Ermey. Full Metal Jacket is still regarded as one of the most captivating and moving war films. The film's most renowned character, perhaps, never had his lines prepared, despite receiving an Oscar nod for Best Writing. R. Lee Ermey was chosen as a technical advisor for the production team since he had previously worked as a Paris Island Marine drill instructor. He was cast as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, the tough-talking, ball-busting boot camp instructor. When it came to capturing Ernie's aesthetic on film, filmmaker Stanley Kubrick observed Ernie accomplished it best. He placed Ernie in front of the camera and ordered him to perform what any boot camper would do. As a consequence, the performance became legendary. The Usual Suspects – Laughing Lineup. The Usual Suspects is considered one of the best criminal capers in film history, owing to its stunning surprise finale. Don't worry, no spoilers if you haven't watched it yet. The lineup scene is one of the most memorable pictures from the film, presumably because it appears in the poster. The 5 suspects are led into the police station and ordered to recite a sentence from a card that says, "Give me the keys, you effing sea-sucker." When the guys read the sentence, they begin to giggle as though in response to the amusing ways they're individually interpreting the line. Nevertheless, behind-the-scenes interviews showed that it wasn't only the line reading that had everyone in stitches. That was one of the males who kept farting. The laughs just so happened to work and were preserved in the film. Django Unchained – DiCaprio slices his hand. Django Unchained, Quentin Tarantino's 2012 picture, is internationally acclaimed for its great performances by cast members and the director's uber-violent storylines. The picture, which stars Jamie Foxx and Christopher Waltz, has an ensemble of A-list talent, including Leonardo DiCaprio as slave-owning Calvin Candy. As Django, Foxx, and Dr. King Schultz, Waltz, travel to Candy to rescue Broomhilda von Schaft, Kerry Washington, Candy gets outraged when he learns the duo's lie. Candy slams his fist on the table, shattering a glass. When Candy's aide gathers Django and Schultz's weapons, Candy stares down at his injured hand. This was never written into the script. DiCaprio wasn't intended to strike anything when he smacked his fist on the table. Despite the pouring blood, DiCaprio remained in character and the cameras continued to film. Blood continues to surround DiCaprio's hand as the action proceeds, but he utilizes it to perfection when Broomhilda is brought out and seated alongside Candy. Kerry Washington had no notion DiCaprio would wipe anything, never alone his own blood on her. Her response is very natural. The moment contributed to DiCaprio's nomination for Best Supporting Actor at the Golden Globes. Thor: The Dark World, hanging up his hammer. Marvel's Cinematic Universe, or the MCU, is one of the most stunning and long-lasting achievements in film history. Over 20 films construct a genuinely terrifying plot about one crazy titan's aim of acquiring all 6 Infinity Stones, with which he can modify reality and wipe off half the universe's inhabitants. Most of the MCU films are beloved by fans and reviewers alike, but some films are just better than others. Thor: The Dark World is one of the franchise's least popular films. Although the action's fantastic, the film suffers from a cliched villain, an unnecessary intricate narrative line, and a lack of joy that many Marvel movies are known for. Yet one of the movie's best moments came from actor Chris Hemsworth, who is attempting to inject a little more comedy. Thor visits Jane Foster's apartment as the humans struggle to find out how to destroy the enemy, Malekith. Thor follows Jane inside the apartment and, noting the coat rack by the entrance, drapes his mythical hammer, Mjolnir, on one of the hooks. It's a brief, amusing interlude that lays the stage for Thor Ragnarok's comic shenanigans.